Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki from Janik Fashions, and today I have a special treat for you. We're not going to just be sewing today. We are going to be sewing as usual, but I will be introducing you to my embroidery machine. And the embroidery machine allows me to give some real flair to some of my projects where I get to do some decorative stitching, and also combining that with sewing. It's just great. I'm going to take you through the steps from the very beginning, from me looking for an embroidery design to me stitching that design on, then taking the fabric and making something with it. So for this video, this is the piece that I ended up making, and you will see everything from beginning to end. If you're enjoying my channel and you want to see more like it, don't forget to press like, don't forget to subscribe. All right, enjoy the tutorial. Alright, so when I want to embroider a pattern onto a shirt or a piece of fabric, I have a few places that I start from. I either go to Etsy to see what embroidery designs are on Etsy, or I go to a website called embroiderydesigns.com. I'm going to start from Etsy because I do like to support small businesses, so I'm going to start here. I go to etsy.com. And then I just start off by looking for what I want. And so I went back and forth between florals and butterflies. I felt like I wanted something really feminine for this shirt. And I decided to go with butterflies. So in the search bar, you want to type something like embroidery designs. And then whatever picture you want to see. And I wanted butterfly, so I typed butterfly, and then I just wanted to see what comes up from that. And so now here we have a bunch of embroidery designs. All right, so I went back to my home page and to my favorite items, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on the one that I chose earlier, which is this one. And I chose it for multiple reasons. I do like that clean look of the butterfly, but I love the fact that there are other little butterflies extending the picture, extending the image and making it just a little bit more abstract. And it also takes up more space within the hoop. All right, so when you see a design you like, you always want to go to the description so you can see that it actually does match the machine that you have. So I'm going to the description and I'm going to click learn more about it. And so the first part of this particular description talks about the size and the number of stitches. So this is bigger than my hoop can handle. And this is the biggest that my hoop can handle, and it's 16,890 stitches, which is kind of large, and that is what I'm going for. And my hoop is, I believe, a 5x7 hoop, and so that works out. All right. So also you want to look at the file type and make sure that they have your file type. And I have a PES, a brother that stitches out PES files, so I'm good there as well. And usually they have something about how you're allowed to use the file, and I'm just going to be using it to make a personal shirt for myself. But usually you want to see, if you're going to sell something, you want to see what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to sell. So I'm going to go with this, and I will give Hannah credit for her beautiful work. And I am going to just go ahead and add it to my cart, or just buy it. All right, so I just made the purchase, and I'm going to go to my account and go to purchases and reviews. And once I'm there, the most recent purchase comes up on top, and I want to download that file. So I'm going to go ahead and press download files, and I download it. And it shows up here as a zip file. So if we go ahead and open that up, I need the PES file. So notice nothing comes up here, and that's okay. You won't be able to see anything on your computer. But that's why you need an embroidery machine, and your embroidery machine will be able to read this. So the next step is to take a flash drive, which I'll show you in a second, transfer this over to the flash drive, and get that flash drive and bring that to your embroidery machine. All right, so I just plugged my flash drive in, and here is the flash drive right here. That's the name of it. and this is the file that I want to use. So I'm going to just take it and I'm just going to grab it and drop it in. All right, so now I'm going to take my flash drive to the machine. So here is a wonderful embroidery machine that I keep talking about. It is a Brother PE800. It is a great machine, embroidery machine for beginners, but it does really professional work as well. I think it is probably not considered a professional machine because you can only have one thread in it at a time. So you have to switch the thread every time that you need to change the color, and that's totally fine because I'm not doing huge jobs that require that too much. All right, so in order to get started, I am going to power this on. The power button is back here. And I see the display come up on the screen. I'm gonna press it, press OK. And a few options come up, and the option I'm interested in is the flash drive, but I don't have it in there yet. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in now. There we go. All right, so once our flash drive is in, it takes a second to process that it's in, and then we can go ahead and press the flash drive symbol on the machine. All right, so I now know that all the files that's in my flash drive are listed in the order that I put them in. So since I just put the butterfly in, I'm going to scroll backwards, and I see the butterfly right there, and I'm going to go ahead and press set. Now every design turns out best if you embroider it at the size that it was created. So I'm not going to make this any bigger, I'm not going to make this any smaller, I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to press end edit. If I wanted to move it, I could move it. If I wanted to make it bigger and smaller, I could as well, or change the angle, I could as well, but I'm not going to do any of that. And I'm going to press embroidery, and then I'm all set up. And this is kind of great. It's just 3 colors, so it won't be stressful changing the colors every few minutes. It's 14 minutes for the first color, which is gray, 17 minutes for the second color, which is black, and 3 minutes for that red. And I can see all of that on that screen. It's very small on your end, but that's what I'm seeing on that screen. Go ahead and grabbed everything I need for the project. So I have my gray hair, which is the first thread that I'm going to stitch out. It's not black that I have, it's actually an olive green that I am going to then stitch out, and then my red. I also went ahead and grabbed my hoop, and yes, it looks like it's dirty. It's not actually dirt. It is glue from all of the projects I've done before. And if you know how to clean this glue off effectively, please, please, please let me know. I really would love to get this looking nice and new again. I have a stabilizer, and I'm going to show you. It looks like a sheet of paper, but it actually is more than just a sheet of paper. I use a Tearaway Stabilizer for more solid projects, and a cutaway stabilizer for lighter fabrics, but I much rather the Tearaway Stabilizer because it allows you to clean up your project afterwards pretty easily. And even though I probably should be using a cutaway stabilizer, I'm going to try this fabric and embroidering on this fabric with this stabilizer. All of this will make sense in a few. All right, so I also need my adhesive in order to get my fabric stuck onto the hoop. But before I go and grab that, I'm going to show you how to hoop the stabilizer. All right, so right tighty, lefty loosey. I'm going to unscrew this and separate the 2 parts of the hoop from each other. Notice this part here, it goes over that part here. So I'm going to set this in that direction with the screw facing towards me, and I'm going to just go ahead and put the stabilizer over that. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to take the other part of the hoop and sit it in the area that it belongs. There we go. So now it's in there, and I can go ahead and tighten this up. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up. And when the fabric's on, and the fabric is not yet on, but when the fabric is on, I am going to go ahead and stick this over this area here. So here's my adhesive. This is what I'm going to be using to get my fabric to stick onto my stabilizer. I will not be spraying this adhesive onto the stabilizer near my phone because I don't want to do damage to the phone. As I showed you, that adhesive is pretty sticky. It gets on things and doesn't want to get off. So I'm going to go ahead, off camera, I'm going to spray this area. I'm going to follow the directions, which is hold the can 12 inches from the surface and spray lightly. And then I will be back to show you how I attach my fabric. So I have a random block of fabric that will be the front of the shirt. And it is much larger than I need, so I don't have to really worry too much about spacing and about exactly where I put it. I can just actually just throw it on. Now, if you were creating an embroidery pattern on top of an actual shirt, you would definitely want to be more careful than what I'm doing right now. So I am sticking this as flat as possible to the stabilizer. Alright, so this is what it looks like once I've finished hooping it and sticking everything onto the adhesive. Now that everything is on the hoop, we make sure that we are sticking this in with our screws facing towards us. And we're going to put those two grooves over those two things that are meant for the grooves. And we're going to stick it down until we hear the snap. There we go. Alright. And so now, most important part of doing machine embroidery is making sure nothing is underneath, nothing is in the way. I can't tell you how many times I've embroidered something really well and gotten close to the end and realized there was a layer of fabric underneath that was being sewn to the top layer of fabric that I'm actually trying to sew to. So you want to make sure your workspace is clear, and once everything is all set, then we are ready to embroidery. However, we have to thread the machine first. So the first color, I'm going to show this to you a little bit closer, if you can see here. So the first color is 817, and if you take a look at the thread that I picked up, the gray thread is, oh, that's probably impossible to see. Oh, there you go, 817. So doing embroidery is that easy. It tells you what color to use, and you just pick that color up and then you just start to work with it. And so you don't have to be that talented or that creative. The person who is super creative is the person who makes these beautiful designs, and I'm so thankful to them. All right, so I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to stick it through here, and I am going to take this little thing here. I have it in 2 sizes, but I love to use a smaller one. I find it keeps things steadier for me personally. It's just a personal preference. And I'm going to hold that down, and I will link below a description, in the description, how to thread this machine, because if I try to teach that to you now, that could be a whole video all to itself. In order to start embroidering, we just go ahead and we just click this green button and we watch it do its thing. Yep, so with one color done, this does not look too promising at all, but I am going to see what happens when the next color goes in. All right, so now it has finished embroidering, as we can see there. I am going to clean this up. It is definitely not my best work, and I knew it wouldn't be because the fabric is very soft and it moves around a lot, and the stabilizer was not the best quality stabilizer. And I did that intentionally because I just wanted to be able to remove the stabilizer easily, just tear it away instead of have to cut around it. But let's see what this looks like once I finish cutting all these threads off. Alright, so I was going to use this fabric and make a cap sleeve shirt, but as you can see here, even though it came out okay, it's not perfect, and I knew it might not be perfect because of all the chances I took. So I went ahead and I actually used a more solid fabric. This is my bullet fabric here, and I used the cutaway stabilizer in this case, and notice how much better that came out. So I'm going to go ahead and make this into a tube top, and it will be a really easy sew project, so stay tuned. All right, so here are my 2 pieces of fabric that I'll be using for the shirt. Here is this aqua greenish material that I sewed the butterfly on, and notice it's on the wrong side. You're actually seeing what that cutaway stabilizer looks like. And in between here I have my black fabric, and so right side is facing right side, and I folded both in half so I could get right down the middle here. And I'm going to be using this top that I made in a previous video as my pattern. And so this top was essentially just a tube top but with straps. So I'm going to fold this tube top in half, which I don't actually have to do because that does mark out the midpoint there, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'm going to place this on to my fabric. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add some pins here and cut the shape out to make this shirt. All right, so I went ahead and I pinned the side seam, and now I'm going to cut around. All right, so now we have our 2 layers of fabric, the front and the back, but it is folded in half, and I would like to open this up. So instead of taking out all the pins, I'm going to take out 1 pin, repin the 2 top layers, and you've seen me, if you've seen any of my videos, you know that this is literally what I do every single time in order to get that symmetry that I think is so important. And then we pin the 2 bottom layers in the same spot. All right, so now my shirt is opened up. That's the back, that's the front, but we are inside out. So here is what it will look like when I turn it right side out. And I'm going to try this on and see if I need to make any adjustments before I sew up the sides. So I am going to be using a zigzag stitch, or any stretchy stitch would work because the fabric here is a 4-way stretch fabric. Before I start to work on the hem, I'm going to make sure that I've taken off the excess off of the side seams. So in order to do my hem, I fold it over twice, and I pin before I take it to the machine. So because of the two-tone nature of this shirt, when I'm hemming it, I'm actually going to just hem the black with the black thread, and I'm going to switch over the thread to something that matches this color before I hem that piece. All right, so I finished my tube top. I hemmed the top and the bottom, and everything is all done, but I decided I really love halter tops. So I am going to try to add a halter top feature that I have not tried yet to this shirt. All right, so here I have 3 strips of fabric, 2 of the aqua, 1 black. All right, so now I am going to go ahead and braid this kind of like I'm braiding hair or plaiting hair. I'm just going to take the aqua and black and double tie it. And all right, so that's nice and firm. Now I'm going to take the 3rd one and use these 2 pieces and tie it with that. So you just want to make sure everything is fully together before you start to braid. So there we go. So now I am going to just braid this all the way down, and we're going to find a way to attach it to the shirt. All right, so I finished doing the braid, and I have pinned it to the appropriate place on the inside of the shirt. I'm going to hand sew this piece on. Just